My roommate is extremely jealous and can't stand to see others doing better than her. Because she envied someone else's beautiful feet, she maliciously spread athlete's foot. Jealous of another roommate's good skin, she mixed acne pus into their skincare products. When she found out she had gynecological inflammation, instead of seeking treatment, she maliciously washed her underwear in a public washing machine. As graduation approached, the four of us went for an interview together, and only. She was rejected, yet she blamed us for stealing her opportunity. Seeing that the three of us had all found jobs, she became furious and added rat poison to our takeout, causing us to die from poisoning. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to my freshman year. At the start of the semester, I had bought slippers on a shopping platform, but the delivery hadn't arrived yet. Su Jing pouted and cooed, looking at the slippers on each of our feet. Can someone lend me their slippers to wear for? Now, unlike my previous life, I didn't eagerly offer my brand new pair of slippers, just quietly organizing my luggage and not planning to respond. The other two roommates said they didn't have extra slippers. After glancing around, Su Jing's gaze finally landed on my shoe rack, and she whispered, "Li Qing, I see you have another pair of slippers on your rack. They look so nice. Can you lend them to me?" Her fingers nervously twisted the hem of her clothes, looking pitiful. In my previous life, as her roommate, I couldn't bear to see her barefoot in sweaty sneakers on such a hot day, so I lent her my newly bought limited edition slippers, but I didn't know she had macerated athlete's foot. After borrowing the slippers, she wore them for a while and then, citing discomfort, proposed swapping with the pair I was wearing. I was concerned about her sweaty, unwashed feet and wore my new slippers, not wanting to swap back. Another roommate, Su Yaya, was a pushover and thought that since we were all in the same dorm, it was no big deal to help out. After the swap, Su Jing would occasionally wear Su Yaya's slippers by mistake. When asked, she said, "I forgot we swapped, so I got used to them. Let's swap back now." Su Yaya was soft-spoken and accustomed to enduring, so in her previous life, even after contracting athlete's foot, she quietly cried and treated it herself. Later, when she discovered it was Su Jing who spread the infection, she didn't dare confront her. We couldn't stand it and advised Su Jing to seek treatment, but she refused, even deliberately continuing to wear Su Yaya's other shoes, and nonchalantly told Su Yaya, "We're good sisters, I don't mind your athlete's foot, it's just shoes, don't be so petty, you can wear mine too." This caused Su Yaya's athlete's foot to keep recurring, never fully healing. She also stopped wearing sandals because of her condition. In my previous life, I misjudged her, meddling in affairs and helping an ingrate. After becoming friends, I was innocently infected with gynecological inflammation by her, treated for a long time, and eventually, all three of us lost our lives because of her. This time, I won't be her friend. These shoes of mine are a limited edition I just bought, and scalpers are already selling them for over 500. If you want to buy them, it's not worth it. You can go to the supermarket downstairs. They probably only cost a little over 10 yuan, not much more expensive than online. I spoke coldly, as if I were considering the cost-effectiveness for her. Su Jing clearly didn't expect me to be selling them to her. After a few seconds of silence, she started pretending to be wronged again, wiping away tears. I found her behavior utterly detestable. She had always been good at this act. Without any hesitation, I rolled my eyes. "I've already placed an order on the shopping app, and it'll arrive in a couple of days. I don't want to return it because of my own reasons and make the seller lose money on shipping. I don't have much living allowance, and buying 2 pairs of slippers is unnecessary for me." Su Jing persisted, unwilling to give up. "Can't you lend them to me for a couple of days as an emergency?" I was even more speechless. Even though her own living allowance was also tight, she always wanted whatever others had but couldn't afford it. She had taken advantage of Pinduoduo's refund-only policy more than once. Well, there's nothing I can do about it. I don't want to lend my new shoes to anyone unless you're willing to buy them. Then I might consider selling them to you. After saying this, I tried my best to ignore her. Being her roommate was truly unlucky. If the school didn't allow changing dorms without a valid reason, I would definitely move out of here. Even the music in my headphones couldn't drown out her sobbing. Seeing that I still didn't react, she rushed over, roughly and quickly yanked the headphones out of my ears, pulling out several strands of my hair in the process. My scalp was left itchy and sore. She scolded me. If you didn't want to help, you could have just said so. Why pretend not to hear by wearing headphones? How disgusting. Watching me vigorously rub my sore scalp, she showed not a hint of remorse, as if she thought I deserved it. I said coldly, "Are you out of your mind? Can you understand human language? I just clearly told you the solution. Did you even listen?" Su Jing immediately turned the tables. "Why do you have to speak so harshly? I just saw you had 2 pairs of slippers, and the other pair isn't even being used right now. I thought you were a kind person who would help me. I never expected you to be so cold-hearted," I replied calmly. "Say whatever you want, whatever you think of me won't affect me." But the other 2 roommates, Su Yaya and Xia Xiaoyun, hadn't been reborn and didn't know how Su Jing had harmed them. Roommate Su Yaya spoke up first to defend her. "Li Qing, if you have 2 pairs of slippers, just lend her one for a couple of days. It's such a small favor. It won't inconvenience you at all." Do-gooders are truly terrifying. Even though Su Yaya was a victim like me, just because she was willing to suffer losses didn't mean I had to be selflessly devoted like her. I said, "There's no way I'm lending it to her. Either she buys it herself." Let me be blunt up front. I have OCD. And I can't stand sharing anything with others. If anyone secretly uses my things, I'll call the police. As for you two, don't be too kind either. We just met today, and we don't really know each other's backgrounds. You should focus on yourselves first. If you don't tidy up now, by the time you get back from the meeting and the lights go out, it'll be too late. You'll have to clean up in the dark. Clearly, those 2 haven't even made their own beds yet, but they're already worrying about other people's business. Su Jing is the kind of person who brings trouble to anyone who gets involved. These 2 roommates haven't done anything to offend me before. And we've always gotten along well. Every semester, the 3 of us would go to the library together to study. Out of concern for my roommates, I was willing to kindly remind them not to let Su Jing latch onto them and end up with the same fate as in my past life. But Su Jing is an emotionally unstable lunatic. She rushed up to me again, pulling and tugging, angrily shouting at me with the intensity of a hype man. "Li Qing, you hate me, you look down on me. Why aren't you happy even when others are kind enough to speak up for me? Them helping me is none of your business. Li Qing, you're just jealous that I'm popular. You're so petty that you even try to stop others from helping me. How insecure are you?" Here we go again. She's overly sensitive and thinks that because she's from a small town, everyone looks down on her. Clearly struggling financially, yet she has sky-high ambitions and is afraid of being outshined. My 2 roommates only heard Su Jing praising them for being kind and nodded along, saying they were willing to speak up for her and that it was none of my business. I already know the consequences of meddling in other people's affairs. Since they're so eager to get themselves into trouble, there's nothing I can do to persuade them now. I'll just have to deal with it as it comes. I coldly added, "Take a look for yourselves. She's someone who wears shoes without socks. How do you know if her feet are clean or not? Don't catch some disease from her." When Su Jing heard me say this, she grew both anxious and guilty. A flicker of panic flashed in her eyes, but she raised her voice by an octave, almost shouting in her own defense, "What right do you have to say I'm sick? I think you're the one who's afraid to let me wear your shoes because your feet are diseased. If you have athlete's foot, just say so. I wouldn't dare wear your shoes anyway," I replied calmly. "Whether you have athlete's foot or not, only you know. I don't need to prove anything, just don't touch my things, that's all." My unruffled demeanor made Su Jing's words feel like punches thrown into cotton. She could only grit her teeth and try to argue with the other 2 roommates. After all, it was just the start of the semester, and we were all still unfamiliar with each other. Yet here I was, suspecting a roommate of having athlete's foot for no reason and openly stating that no one should touch my things. The 2 of them thought I was a bit difficult to get along with, perhaps. They were also a bit suspicious after hearing what I said. And since there really weren't any extra shoes to lend Su Jing, they both advised her to go buy a pair for the time being. Su Jing could only say awkwardly, "Since no one is willing to help me, I guess that's the only option." After saying this, she lowered her head again, as if it were everyone else's fault that she didn't have slippers to wear. After Su Jing bought the slippers, the 2 roommates tried to ease the tension, repeatedly saying that the slippers she bought looked high quality and would last a long time. Su Jing also acted as if nothing had happened, pretending we were all good roommates, and even started discussing things like college entrance exam scores and meeting times. Just before the meeting was about to start, I stood up to leave. They glanced at me but didn't say anything. After I left, they walked out arm in arm. I couldn't help but laugh to myself. Such childish games, trying to show everyone in the dormitory from the very start that someone was being isolated. They must have created a group chat with just the three of them, because their phones would chime with notifications at the same time, and they kept chatting on their phones while deliberately laughing loudly, as if they wanted me to know I was being excluded. After the freshman orientation, Su Jing proactively added several people on WeChat. In my previous life, at the beginning of the school year, Su Jing saw that we were all wearing makeup and begged us to help her with hers too. Su Yaya's skills seemed average, neither making mistakes nor standing out. Another roommate, Xia Xiaoyun, had skin that looked flawless, fair with a rosy glow, without a single blemish, so she only lightly filled in her eyebrows and applied lipstick. Even if they wanted to help Su Jing, they were willing but lacked the ability. At that time, because I had refused to swap slippers with her, I felt a bit guilty and offered to do her makeup. Using the skills I had painstakingly practiced all summer, however, her face was covered with acne, and it took a lot of effort to conceal it, making her skin appear naturally flawless. Her facial features were decent, but the only flaw was the excessive acne on her face, which made her skin look poor. After applying makeup, her appearance improved significantly. From then on, she practiced makeup diligently, but she also liked to boast about being naturally beautiful and wearing no makeup. During the freshman orientation, she enjoyed joking with the boys around her. The class assistant found her cute and sensible, thinking she was suitable for running for class committee, so he proactively added her on WeChat and shared tips for freshmen, such as which cafeteria had the best food and which products at which bakery were disappointing. She also used this information to build goodwill in the freshman group chat. Everyone thought she knew everything, and several girls actively befriended her, making her seem like she got along with everyone. In the class committee election, she smoothly became the class monitor. From then on, she often used her position to benefit herself. In this life, I had a falling out with her from the start. When she asked the other two roommates to help with her makeup, they could only provide cosmetics and tutorials, one because she wasn't good at it herself, and the other because she hardly needed makeup. As a result, the acne on her face wasn't concealed properly, and her makeup looked patchy and worn off, making her appear older. However, she proactively added the class assistant and several boys sitting near her. Since they were all in the same major, most people would agree when someone enthusiastically asked to add them as friends. When she returned to the dorm, she started bragging about adding the class assistant and several classmates, saying that if anyone had questions, she could collect them and ask the class assistant together. With such a personality, everyone thought she was warm-hearted and enthusiastic, but I knew she was already currying favor to run for class monitor. Xiaoyun, your photo was posted on the confession wall. You should comment with your contact information below. Lots of people will definitely add you. As soon as I returned, I heard Su Yaya excitedly talking to Xia Xiaoyun. Xia Xiaoyun was naturally beautiful, and after just a few days of military training, someone had posted about her on the confession wall. I clicked on the post to take a look. Looking for a beauty I saw in the cafeteria, didn't dare to approach her in person. Fair skin and pretty face. Seeking contact information, the accompanying photo was of her lining up for food in the cafeteria. In the picture, Xia Xiaoyun's skin was radiant. Even after a few days of intense sun exposure during military training, she still stood out brightly among the other students. No wonder someone had posted about her. However, Xia Xiaoyun didn't seem happy after seeing it. This is so embarrassing. I don't want to be the center of attention like this. Please don't post my contact information for me. I noticed that at this moment, Su Jing remained silent, even with a hint of disdain on her face. She was also in the photo, but her skin was flawed and dull, so naturally, she didn't stand out next to Xia Xiaoyun. By the evening, another post had appeared on the confession wall. This time, a heavily smoothed out version of Su Jing. When I saw it, I almost burst out laughing. I deliberately spoke up. Su Jing, do you want me to leave your contact information in the comments? Su Jing seemed surprised that I was talking to her and acted coy, pretending not to know. Even you saw it. I don't know who fished me out. I'm not someone who likes being in the spotlight. If he wants my contact info, he can. Su Jing's voice trailed off, unable to continue. Perhaps she realized that she had forgotten to ask the confession wall to blur her profile picture, feeling unbalanced. After her roommate was fished, she decided to fish herself, which was quite a bizarre move. Su Jing stammered, trying to force an explanation. What a coincidence, this person uses the same profile picture as me. Feeling embarrassed, she made an excuse to go to the bathroom, where she lingered for a long time, doing who knows what. Soon, I saw a complaint post on the all-purpose wall. I want to anonymously complain about my roommate, from the finance department. She got pregnant right after school started, not sure who she was messing around with. I've seen her interacting with different guys several times. She pretends not to hear when I talk to her in the dorm, very low quality, had to vent. Thanks, wall. When I saw it, I knew it was a complaint aimed at me. Not only was it posted under Su Jing's profile picture, but my photo was also hanging in the comments. Alumni A. I know who the complaint is about. I know the person who posted it. She's quite popular in their dorm. Only one person doesn't get along with them. The one being complained about has indeed been seen interacting with several seniors. I saw her at the milk tea shop. Alumni B. I saw her picking up a lot of packages the other day. I didn't expect her to be pregnant. Did she buy all those baby products? Alumni A replied to Alumni B. Being pregnant and still having unclear relationships with so many men. She should just drop out and go home to rest. Some people even exclaimed how juicy the gossip was, turning the complaint post into a gossip fest. From the moment I saw the post until I returned to the dorm, I encountered many classmates from my major. Some even gave knowing looks to their companions, hinting that I was the subject of the viral complaint post. When you're speechless, you really just want to laugh. The two comments that were maliciously stirring up trouble and spreading rumors were posted by Su Jing's small accounts. In her previous life, she was a fan of a celebrity and had registered several accounts for controlling comments. I immediately recognized the accounts as familiar. The reason she did this wasn't just because she had a grudge against me from the start, but also because there was a group of boys in our major who liked to create separate groups to comment on girls. In her previous life, she had somehow managed to infiltrate that group, and many boys in the group thought I was prettier than Su Jing, though harder to approach. Later, I also saw screenshots from their group chats, but at the time, I didn't think it was a big deal and didn't let it affect me, so I just let them talk. Now, I just think that their behavior of gathering to comment on girls is extremely disgusting, but Su Jing didn't think that way. She started telling her classmates that my makeup and photo editing skills were also very good, unlike her, who couldn't do anything and would even make people look ugly when she tried to do her own makeup. At the time, I found her words strange, but she explained to me, I don't mean any harm, I just want everyone to know how talented you are. I told myself that maybe she just had low emotional intelligence and didn't know how to speak properly. Only now do I realize that she was just using me to elevate herself and establish a natural beauty persona. I planned to go back to the dorm immediately to find Su Jing. However, when I returned to the dorm, no one was there yet. I calmed down and thought of a better way to clarify the situation, which was to find the right opportunity. I washed up a bit and then went to bed to change clothes and lie down to play. When I heard someone opening the door, I recognized Su Jing's voice. She seemed to be on the phone, and the voice on the other end was loud enough that I could vaguely hear phrases like, "Don't let others outshine you," and, "It's not easy for your family to support your studies." I don't usually listen in on people's phone calls, so I was about to continue wearing my headphones and focus on watching videos. Su Jing's call ended quickly, and she called out, "Is anyone here?" I didn't want to respond, so I stayed silent, but driven by curiosity, I peeked through the gap in the bed curtain to see what she was doing. I saw her take off her shoes and socks, not put on her own slippers, but instead wear Su Yaya's. I was greatly shocked. Had she been planning this for so long? I quickly turned on my phone to record and watched what she would do next. She took some face cream from Xia Xiaoyan's spot, her eyes flashing with hatred, and then started squeezing the acne on her face forcefully in front of the mirror. With each squeeze, yellowish white pus oozed out. She didn't care at all, dipping her fingers into the pus and then maliciously stirring it into the face cream. muttering, "Why is it that you don't even take care of your skin, yet your skin is so good, while I have so many pimples and even got on the confession wall. I'd like to see how you'll attract men in the future." I was so disgusted by her actions that I frowned deeply. Su Jing's skin would get oily, perhaps due to inadequate cleaning and hormonal factors, resulting in a lot of acne on her face, which was red and swollen. She also liked to squeeze them with her unsterilized hands. It was only after we took her to a dermatologist that her condition improved. I knew that those disgusting boys had commented on the girls in our major and that they had praised Xia Xiaoyun's skin, but I didn't know she had done this. Fortunately, Xia Xiaoyun wasn't very interested in skincare and rarely used face cream, so in the previous life, it didn't lead to an infection. However, this was just too disgusting. This wasn't the end of it. She even started peeling the skin off her feet, tossing the bits she tore from between her toes into other shoes of Su Yaya's, then switched back to her own slippers and went to the bathroom. Luckily, I recorded it. Otherwise, no one would believe these outrageous things if I told them. I quickly changed clothes, planning to go out and talk to the two of them about this, but they didn't reply to my WeChat messages. I waited downstairs for a long time, but they didn't return, so I decided to go back first. When I got back, the other two roommates were already there, but Su Jing was also there, so I had to find another opportunity to bring it up. When I went to the balcony to wash my recently changed military training uniform, I found that the bucket that should have been empty now had several pairs of underwear soaking in it, all lace styles in various colors. I immediately recognized them as Su Jing's. In my previous life, these underwear had mixed with my clothes. It's a disaster. She has gynecological issues. In my previous life, she wasn't very hygienic. She would wash her underwear only after accumulating several days' worth, and her bathing frequency was low, always needing reminders. No one knew she had gynecological problems until I got infected and traced it back to her. Every time she asked me to share the washing machine with her, she would throw her underwear in to wash together. We thought she didn't know she was sick, as she had asked several times if anyone else had itching symptoms. After we found out, we kindly took her to the hospital to treat the inflammation, worried she wouldn't spend the money, and even pulled money from the dorm to buy disinfectant for her to soak her clothes. I didn't expect that she had always known she was sick, not thinking about treatment but intending to maliciously infect others. In my previous life, she even claimed that I had infected her first. I took a photo with my phone and sent it to the dorm group chat, then said to them in the dorm, I sent it in the group chat, you can claim whose underwear they are, including the cost of buying a new bucket, transfer me 50 yuan. No one spoke, and I guessed Su Jing wouldn't admit it voluntarily, especially since I had named a price. I'll give you 5 minutes. If no one claims them after 5 minutes, I'll take it to the door of every dorm room and let everyone see what kind of person we have in our dorm, using someone else's bucket to soak her underwear. Su Yaya and Xia Xiaoyun quickly said they weren't theirs. Now Su Jing couldn't pretend she hadn't heard. She either had to pay or let everyone see her underwear. She suddenly stepped in front of me, her eyes glaring. Is it really necessary to use your bucket, and you want money for it? Are you broke or something? I coldly replied, I've already told you, without my permission, you're not allowed to use anything of mine. What you're doing now is no different from stealing. Su Jing stubbornly said, it's not that serious, I just used the wrong one by accident. You can just wash it. Out of the 4 of us, only my bucket has a lid. Are you saying you took out your dirty underwear that you'd been saving for days, then accidentally opened my bucket lid and put them in to soak? Su Jing fell silent. Clearly, she knew the excuse was flimsy, but she stubbornly refused to pay. Seeing her lack of response, I couldn't be bothered to argue further. I went to the balcony, picked up the bucket with her soaking underwear, and poured the water all over her from head to toe. Watching her lace underwear cling to her body, I suppressed the urge to burst out laughing. If you don't want to pay, fine, then I'll just return your underwear to you. The other 2 roommates were startled by my sudden act of pouring water and stood up, but hesitated to step forward after seeing Su Jing's state. Naturally, I couldn't miss this moment and quickly took a photo of her with my phone. Suddenly, she lunged at me like a hungry tiger, trying to snatch my phone. I dodged swiftly, covered in dirty water. She missed her first attempt and tried again. I grabbed her long hair and yanked it hard in the opposite direction. Momentarily immobilizing her, the other two roommates rushed over to intervene, trying to pull us apart. I quickly called the counselor and class assistant on my phone, telling them there was a thief in my dorm who was also attempting robbery. Perhaps our argument had already drawn attention, as they hurriedly said they'd be right there. In the tense atmosphere of the dorm, my standoff with Su Jing reached its peak. A few minutes later, the class assistant arrived, followed closely by the counselor. She was still wearing her basketball uniform, clearly having come straight from the court. Sweat beaded on her forehead, and her eyes held a mix of confusion and anxiety. Su Jing, Li Qing, why are you two fighting in the dorm? Her voice carried a hint of reproach as her gaze shifted between us. I explained the situation clearly and concisely, and the counselor's brow furrowed tightly. She looked at Su Jing, then at me, clearly not expecting such a dispute so soon after the start of the semester. It's just a bucket, why make such a big deal out of it? Su Jing, you'll compensate Li Qing for the bucket at its original price. As for the physical altercation in the dorm, both of you will need to write a self-criticism for me. Su Jing began to play the victim again, blinking her eyes and pouting, but she poured water on me too. Shouldn't that count for something? The counselor, seeing Su Jing drenched and disheveled yet still putting on a coy act, quickly turned to me with a conciliatory tone. Li Qing, it was wrong of her to use your things. But you also poured water on her. You should apologize to her too. It's only the beginning of the semester, and you'll have to live together for 4 years. Let's not make things unpleasant. I replied seriously. Su Jing using my things without permission is theft. She refused to compensate, so I had no choice but to return her belongings to her. Who knows if she has some illness and is trying to spread it maliciously. Afterward, she tried to snatch my phone and destroy evidence. That's robbery. And she was the one who attacked first, making the situation even more serious. If she doesn't compensate and apologize, I'll have no choice but to report this to the police. My response was firm, leaving no room for compromise. Seeing the counselor's hesitation, I decided to seize the moment while there were many people around to make a bold move. Several onlookers had gathered at our door. Along with the class assistant and the counselor, I pulled out the video I had taken earlier that day. I have evidence that Su Jing harbors ill intentions and maliciously spreads the disgusting things she carries. I can't live with someone like this. Who knows if she might throw her foot skin into my water cup someday. I want her to move out. The video clearly captured everything Su Jing had done. When the counselor saw Su Jing sticking her fingers, covered in acne pus, into Xia Xiaoyun's face cream, her brow furrowed tightly, wearing an expression like an elderly subway passenger looking at their phone in disbelief. Clearly, she hadn't expected such behavior among female students. The counselor watched the video with a furrowed brow, then glanced at Su Jing, who kept craning her neck to see what was on the phone. I then showed her the post on the campus forum. Even if we can't prove those 2 anonymous accounts belong to Su Jing, it's a fact that she anonymously slandered me and spread malicious rumors about me. She just never expected I'd bring this to the counselor. The counselor turned to Su Jing and said sternly, I never thought I'd have such a malicious student under my supervision. Since you've done this, you must face the consequences. Write a self-criticism and submit it to me tomorrow. Post a clarification on the forum, saying it was a misunderstanding, and apologize to Li Qing. If you cause any more trouble from now on, I'll issue a formal reprimand and disciplinary action, and you can forget about any awards or honors. Su Jing's face instantly turned pale. She knew what disciplinary action meant, and a flicker of fear flashed in her eyes. Finally, she nodded in agreement. Su Yaya and Xia Xiaoyun also watched the video. They never expected that the friend they'd bonded with since the start of the semester would betray them like this, especially since they hadn't done anything to offend Su Jing. In fact, when Su Jing and I had our falling out, they had even taken Su Jing's side. They demanded that Su Jing compensate them for the face cream and shoes. And they agreed with my suggestion that Su Jing move out immediately, under the counselor's stern gaze. Su Jing had no choice but to grit her teeth and agree to the compensation. As for changing dorms, the counselor said it would need to be coordinated, and Su Jing would have to move out after the military training. Before leaving, the counselor warned Su Jing not to do anything like this again, emphasizing that such issues wouldn't be resolved so easily every time. Watching the counselor walk away, I knew very well that Su Jing's reputation in the counselor's eyes was now that of a troublemaker. Our counselor had always shown favoritism to those she got along with, something I'd witnessed before. Students she wasn't close to would struggle to get leave even for family emergencies, while those she favored could get excuses for things like breakups or just feeling down. In my past life, Su Jing had used feeling unwell as an excuse to get leave many times, and her name appeared on every list for awards, scholarships, and grants. If I had simply reported Su Jing's rumors on the campus forum to the counselor, she would have dismissed it as petty friction between roommates, advised me to let it go, and told me that not many people paid attention to such posts. The best way to resolve something is to make a scene. So, by making a scene and bringing it to the counselor's attention, it didn't really affect me, since I didn't need any special favors from her. Instead, she'd see me as someone with a temper. Not an easy pushover, but for Su Jing, she lost this advantage and those privileges that should not have existed. However, Su Jing clearly did not realize this. The night after the military training ended was the day to elect class officers. She didn't even have time to eat after the military training, rushing back to the dormitory to dress up. After all, everyone had to wear military training uniforms during these days, and she felt she had no chance to dress up properly. She even fiddled with makeup tutorials on her own, this time during the military training. Unlike her previous life when I constantly reminded her to reapply sunscreen and do post-sun exposure repair, her face was now darker than the instructor's, yet she didn't seem to notice. Li Qing, tonight is the election for class officers. Do you know what being a class officer in university represents? I have a good relationship with most people in the class, and it's almost certain that I will be elected as the class monitor tonight. Are you sure you want to ignore me like this and miss the last chance to establish a good relationship with me? After finishing her makeup, Su Jing said to me proudly, her eyebrows painted like two caterpillars. Her tone was full of arrogance and mockery. Since the last incident was exposed, no one in our dormitory has spoken to her, and her underhanded behavior has spread throughout our major. Everyone is afraid to interact with her, yet she seems to have not noticed at all. I calmly returned a smile and leisurely walked away. In her previous life, she could become the class monitor by doing a lot of preparation beforehand. Not only did she frequently appear in front of the class assistant, using coquettish tactics to gain a lot of information, but she also made sure to be seen by the counselor. She became very familiar with the male classmates from the start of the semester and often went to watch the counselor play basketball in the evenings during the military training, thriving in her social interactions. But this time, I haven't heard of her doing any freshman orientation, and with her current appearance, even her coquettish tactics won't work. I suppose she might not even know about this, so she has no chance to further interact with the counselor. Moreover, considering our previous conflict and her not so outstanding academic performance, her chances of succeeding are practically zero. However, seeing her so self-satisfied now, I am quite looking forward to seeing if she can actually get elected tonight. When I arrived at the classroom, the classmates were discussing the upcoming class officer election. Su Jing sat in the front row, her face beaming with confidence, as if she had already seen herself being elected as the class monitor. I quietly sat in a corner of the classroom, observing all this. The class meeting began, and the class assistant walked into the classroom, scanning the room with his eyes. After announcing the start, Su Jing immediately stood up and began her campaign speech. Hello everyone, I'm Su Jing, and I want to run for class monitor. I believe I have the ability to lead our class towards a better future. Her voice was full of enthusiasm, but her words were so hollow. When the assistant class leader announced the results, as expected, Su Jing did not get elected as class monitor, but rather another classmate who was not very noticeable. Su Jing's face turned pale instantly. She couldn't believe her eyes and quickly tapped on the screen with her fingers, probably asking the assistant class leader why it wasn't her. The assistant class leader said, some students gave very impressive speeches, but the responsibilities of a class committee member are not just about speeches, they also require actual actions and support from classmates. Those who didn't get elected shouldn't be discouraged. Consider it a practice opportunity. The seemingly comforting words carried a subtle hint of sarcasm. His gaze briefly lingered on Su Jing, as if to say, everyone knows your little tricks and schemes. There weren't many candidates for the election tonight, but all the other candidates, except Su Jing, were assigned a position in the class committee. I could see the frustration and grievance in her eyes. The next morning, there were no classes, so I planned to go to the library to study and shoot some self-media videos. Having lived once, I knew that self-media would be a major trend in the future. In my previous life, by the time I had the idea to do self-media, it was already too late, and I was too busy with graduation to find the time. I already had a clear idea of the popular trends and topics for each stage. Every piece of content was something I had researched extensively, from small scripts, shooting, editing, to operations. Most of the viral videos I had seen in my previous life were about university life and daily studies, which had attracted some fans. At school, I only attended classes and didn't participate in any other activities. Su Jing, on the other hand, had lost her chance in front of the counselor and didn't even realize it. I saw her approach the counselor several times after meetings. She thought this would improve her favor, but it only made the counselor feel she was troublesome, with reasons like feeling bad and needing leave, all being rejected by the counselor. When it came to applying for poverty subsidies, it came as no surprise that she failed to receive them. After all, the quotas were limited. Aside from truly impoverished students and those with registered poverty-stricken household status, nearly all the beneficiaries were members of the class committee. The incident where she had stolen my things in the dorm was known to some classmates and class committee members, and her spending habits weren't exactly frugal. Although her family background was ordinary, it wasn't to the point of poverty, and she had no proof to support her application. Many people also knew that she was applying for the subsidy just to satisfy her vanity, wanting to buy a beauty instrument. She was very ostentatious, telling her new dorm mates about how she planned to spend the money even before she got it. However, her new dorm mates also knew she was a very jealous person who couldn't stand others having anything better than her, and they knew she would cause trouble for her roommates, so they avoided her, even using fingerprint water cups, and repeatedly asked the counselor to move Su Jing out. Perhaps it was the succession of blows, but Su Jing finally realized the root of her constant misfortune. She had never been one to introspect. If something went wrong, it was definitely someone else's fault, so she believed it was our dorm that had ruined her life. Today, we pooled our money to order afternoon tea delivery. When the delivery arrived, Su Yaya went downstairs to pick it up. We had ordered from a newly opened, trendy milk tea shop nearby, and I planned to post a review of the new tea on my social media account. However, Su Yaya came back and told us the delivery was missing. After contacting the delivery person, they assured us it had been delivered and even offered to come over to help us look for it. 5 minutes later, they called back, their voice slightly annoyed. "Isn't it right there on the delivery shelf? You didn't even look properly before calling me." Su Yaya and I went downstairs together to retrieve it. Apologizing profusely to the delivery person, Su Yaya looked at the milk tea on the delivery shelf and said, puzzled, "I checked here just now, and it wasn't there." She handed me the milk tea, her brow furrowing suddenly. "Why is the seal leaking today? Did the shop staff mess up?" I took the milk tea and noticed that there was indeed liquid seeping through the surface of the seal, and there was a tiny pinhole on the seal of each cup. When I pressed the plastic seal around the pinhole, liquid kept seeping out from the hole. Su Yaya speculated, maybe the shop did it on purpose, like how there are holes in the cola at fried chicken places. Or maybe this batch of seals has quality issues. Watching me press the seal, Su Yaya was clearly encountering this for the first time and didn't know what to do. However, a sense of foreboding rose in my heart. I thought of Su Jing's malicious face and her previous life's attempt to poison us. Better to be cautious. I decided not to drink the delivery and went to the security office to check the surveillance footage. The surveillance footage showed that shortly after the delivery arrived, a figure stealthily took away our milk tea, left for a while, and then returned it, moving quickly and wrapped up tightly, so their face wasn't captured. But I had a hunch about the figure's build, and I suspected it was Su Jing. I immediately called the police and provided them with the recorded surveillance video. The police quickly arrived on the scene, inspected the milk tea, and found it contained rat poison. After reviewing the dormitory corridors, surveillance and hearing our suspicions, they immediately investigated Su Jing and found records of her purchasing rat poison in her shopping history. Facing the police's interrogation, Su Jing initially tried to deny it, claiming she bought the rat poison because there were rats in the dormitory and that she had mistakenly taken the delivery and then returned it, but her lies crumbled under the hard evidence. And the surveillance also captured her committing the crime. During the trial of Su Jing's attempted rat poisoning, she stood in the defendant's dock, her face pale, her eyes filled with fear and unease. The impulsive act she had committed had crossed the legal boundary. With solid evidence, Su Jing's motives and actions constituted attempted murder. Additionally, during the investigation, Su Jing failed to show genuine remorse or actively cooperate with the investigation, resulting in a sentence of 5 years in prison. Upon hearing the verdict, Su Jing's body trembled slightly. She finally realized how serious her actions were. Her voice was sharp and hoarse as she tried to shift all the blame onto us, claiming that we had ostracized her, making everyone avoid her and driving her to a dead end. She also said that her parents had placed too many and too great expectations on her, forcing her to excel. However, only her own echoes reverberated in the courtroom. In the end, she was led out of the courtroom, awaiting a long prison life. I also saw her parents in the gallery. They were dressed in simple clothes, while her younger brother was clad in designer brands, clearly the favorite in the family. Their disappointment and anger toward Su Jing were palpable as they muttered dejectedly, "We worked so hard to put you through college, what more could you possibly want?" In that moment, I understood that Su Jing's jealousy was not something that had developed overnight. The seed of envy had likely taken root long ago in the soil of her upbringing. She is now in prison, and our lives have finally returned to peace. The relationships in our dormitory have remained harmonious, and after graduation, we all successfully interviewed and joined the company from our previous lives. My side hustle as a self-media creator is also thriving. Having been reborn once, we not only saved our own lives but also ensured that the person who harmed us in our past life was punished. From now on, each of my days is filled with new hope and possibilities. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. In my previous life, my best friend gave me a longevity lock, but little did I know that once I put it on, it couldn't be taken off. Moreover, I had a fever for 7 consecutive days, and after waking up, I encountered misfortune everywhere. It was only then that I realized my prosperous fate had been swapped with her husband's short-lived destiny. From then on, they lived a happy life where they could make money just by lying down, while I was impoverished and plagued by misfortune, dying in a car accident at just 30 years old. At the moment of my death, my supermasculine, demented brother let out a cry and stood in front of me, but he was still powerless to stop it, and we both died. One body, 2 lives. Opening my eyes after being reborn, I found myself back at the moment when she was about to put the longevity lock on me. I thought with a cold laugh, since she wanted to swap my prosperous fate, I would give her a hypermasculine husband. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you. As the door swung open with a bang, my best friend Zhou Lin came in holding a cake with lit candles. The other roommates were only then surprised to realize that today was my birthday. Oh my god, Zhou Lin, you're so thoughtful. I really envy Do Min for having such a good friend like you. Zhou Lin suppressed her pride and pretended to be embarrassed, saying, "Not at all. Isn't it only right to be good to Minmin?" She handed me a gift box and asked me to open it to see if I liked it. Inside was a longevity lock made of gold. Everyone gasped in awe. This must have cost a fortune. In my past life, I was first pleasantly surprised that Zhou Lin remembered my birthday, and seeing such an expensive gift moved me beyond words, but I had no idea that this lock was a demonic lock. Wearing it would cause me to swap fates with her boyfriend. At the time, I had a high fever for a whole week, with no warning or reason, and even the doctors were at a loss. But after I recovered, everything went wrong for me. I became impoverished and destitute, unable to even afford a meal. Her husband, on the other hand, began living a life of good fortune, finding money on the street and winning the lottery. I only lived for 10 more years before being hit and killed by a car. As I lay dying, the Taoist priest who had once read my fortune happened to pass by. He said my fate was originally one of great nobility and abundant wealth. How could it have ended so tragically? That's when I realized my fate had been swapped from the moment she put that lock on me when I was 20. In front of me, a fierce smile flashed in Zhou Lin's eyes, yet she gently took out the lock. "Minmin, let me put this on for you." I spent a long time picking this gift. It's perfect for you." My heart skipped a beat. This lock was custom made and polished. If I put it on, I'll never be able to take it off for the rest of my life. I quickly dodged to avoid it. She was taken aback, then immediately looked aggrieved. "Don't you like the gift I gave you?" "But I saved up for half a year, cutting back bit by bit from my living expenses." "Forget it. I was never liked by anyone anyway. My gift is just trash. That's why it's looked down upon." Hearing this, my roommates all felt sorry for her and criticized me. "Do-min, this is her heartfelt gesture. How cold-hearted must you be to ignore her like that? I really misjudged you. Then we won't give you any gifts either." I could only say that I accepted both the sentiment and the gift, but I already have a necklace around my neck. Zhou Lin's eyes were red-rimmed. "The one I gave you is more expensive than yours. Isn't it worth wearing around your neck?" Just then, my brother Do Che's rough voice rang out from downstairs. "Sis, see, come down." I suddenly remembered that my family had planned to take me to a banquet today to celebrate my 22nd birthday, so I made an excuse and slipped away unexpectedly. Zhou Lin followed me down and grabbed my hand. "Mingming, take it upstairs and try it on. You'll definitely love it." Even though I had already accepted it, she still looked like she wouldn't give up until she helped me put it on. Do Che's pupils dilated, and he abruptly pushed Zhou Lin away. "She already said she doesn't want to wear it. Why are you still bothering her?" Zhou Lin was startled, standing frozen in place. I could only make an excuse that I had something to do and pulled my brother away, but I never expected that she would post her brother on the confession wall that very night. The accompanying picture was taken by a passerby at the time, showing her face full of panic as her brother pushed her away. I was just trying to give a gift out of kindness, but her brother yelled at me. Was I really in the wrong? Several comments below were stirring up the drama. "This guy is super aggressive and has mental issues. The young lady is beautiful and kind-hearted. Stay away from this so-called best friend. Is it the one surnamed Do?" Honestly, every time I see her brother, I find him terrifying. Why should someone so aggressive even be allowed to live? They should have been strangled at birth. The post's popularity kept rising, clearly having been boosted by someone buying exposure. In an instant, hundreds of comments flooded the thread, all attacking me and my brother. I clicked on a few of them and discovered they were Zhou Lin's alternate accounts. The third comment, which threatened to strangle Chaoxiong, was from Zhou Lin's boyfriend. I was so angry that my whole body trembled. My brother Do Che showed nothing unusual during prenatal checkups, and by the time he was born and diagnosed with supermale syndrome, it was already too late. Even though he has all the issues associated with supermale syndrome, our family has never given up on him. But now, under the influence of Zhou Lin and her boyfriend, he has been subjected to such online bullying. I looked at the longevity lock used for the fate exchange and suddenly had an idea. But I don't know if this thought is right or wrong. Do I really have the right to decide someone else's life? My brother Do Che sat on the sofa, his eyes vacant and drooling. His eyes were widely spaced, with small pupils, which looked somewhat frightening at first glance. For so many years, our family hardly dared to let him go out alone. If possible, we would have wanted to keep him chained up at all times. My mother even quit her job to stay by his side full-time. Suddenly, I felt a bit hesitant and murmured, "Is this really the right thing to do? If I give you Lu Cheng's fate, you will become normal, but you are destined not to live past 35. But if things remain as they are, when you get older, in my previous life, my brother was severely intellectually disabled and was spat on whenever he went out. Later, he would tremble at the sight of strangers, and when he was unhappy, he would lock himself in his room and hurt himself all over. Although Lu Cheng's fate lacks financial luck, he can live a peaceful life." Now faced with such a choice, I find myself at a loss. Suddenly, my brother stammered, Okay, sis." I was taken aback, suddenly realizing that he was actually responding to me. In an instant, tears fell like rain. My brother, trapped in this body, must be suffering more than I had imagined. So, I solemnly placed the longevity lock around his neck as graduation approached. Zhou Lin, unwilling to spend money on a banquet, had secretly registered her marriage with Lu Cheng. 2 years ago, when Zhou Lin and I went to the temple to pray, we unexpectedly encountered a fortune teller. After examining our birth characters, he marveled at my fate, saying that every aspect of my life was marked by wealth. After graduation, I would experience 30 years of great fortune, with both regular and unexpected wealth surging in, making money even while lying down. At the time, Zhou Lin didn't believe it, but over the next 2 years, everything the fortune teller predicted about me came true. So, she must have coveted my fate from very early on. In her previous life, she took my wealth and enjoyed a lifetime of prosperity, causing me to die young. In this life, it's time for her to pay the price. I'll give her a hypermasculine husband and see if she can handle it. I went to the gold shop and picked out a longevity lock that looked exactly the same, wearing it on myself that way. Those people finally had nothing to say. Zhou Lin happily took a photo with me and posted it on her social media, with a hint of hidden meaning in her words. The god of wealth enters the home, and Lu Cheng commented below, "Darling, wait for me to strike it rich and take care of you." Thumbs up. Okay, hubby, I really want to see how they become rich. Just when I thought everything was going smoothly, unexpectedly, I started showing the same symptoms as in my previous life: persistent high fever, hoarse throat, bedridden. How could this happen? I grow more worried with each passing day, because fate is truly unpredictable. If it is destined that I have unexpected wealth, then even if I trip and fall while going out, what I stumble over will be a gold necklace. But if in this life I still end up swapping fates with Lu Cheng, then what is the point of my rebirth? I was growing increasingly anxious, yet there was no one I could confide in. Meanwhile, after ensuring I wore the lock, Zhou Lin grew tired of me and moved out of the dormitory, not even bothering to pretend anymore. To everyone she met, she would say, "I've had someone else read my fortune, and Do Min is destined to be a jinx, plagued with illness. I advise you all to stay away from her." I gritted my teeth and, despite my severe illness, managed to find the Taoist priest who had read my fortune in my previous life. After learning the whole story, the Taoist priest said there must be something I hadn't discovered and told me to go back and search carefully. I had no choice but to dig out everything she had given me, but I found nothing. Just as I was about to despair, I shook the pillowcase, and a small paper figure fluttered out. It was drawn to resemble Lu Cheng, and his birth date was written on the back. The Taoist said, "That's right, both the lock and the paper doll are working, and since you've touched the lock, the effect is even stronger on you. Fortunately, you discovered it early." I broke out in a cold sweat. That same day, I placed the paper doll under my brother's pillow and told my parents to watch over him as he slept. The next day, the fever gradually subsided. In this lifetime, I want to see how Zhou Lin can enjoy the same fortune as she did in her previous life. Soon, my younger brother developed a fever, frightening my parents. They wanted to take him to the hospital for a checkup, but I persuaded them not to. I said the fever would subside quickly, and they would have a healthy son. My parents hesitated, finding it hard to believe. After all, my brother has been mentally disabled for over 20 years. To avoid arousing Zhou Lin's suspicion, I continued to pretend to be sick and messaged her on WeChat, "Can you help bring me lunch?" She couldn't even be bothered to pretend. "Don't you have hands? Do you think everyone is your mom? I thought we were best friends, but why are you treating me like this the moment I fall ill?" "Best friends? My foot, I've been fed up with you for ages. Let's just cut ties. What have I ever done to you?" The message was sent, but it was met with a red exclamation mark. She blocked me. I directly posted a screenshot of the chat history on my social media. My best friend wouldn't even bring me food when I was sick, and she cut ties with me. Am I wrong to feel heartbroken? Instantly, my social media feed was buzzing with discussions. So this is what she's really like in private. No wonder, this woman really knows how to put on an act. Two-faced and deceitful. Who would dare be friends with her? Besides that, I also received a lot of comfort from some kind-hearted people. An hour later, a knock sounded at the door. Zhou Lin opened the door with an impatient look on her face and threw the meal onto my desk. "All right, that's enough. You're the only one with so many issues. I'm telling you, delete that social media post right now, or I'll tear your mouth apart." Little did she know that she used too much force, causing the soup and rice to spill all over my desk, dripping and splattering onto the floor. I captured this scene and continued to post it on my social media. My best friend deliberately spilled food on my table and said she would tear my mouth if I kept talking nonsense. What should I do? Can I still keep this best friend? A bunch of comments below called her a gangster and even gave her the nickname Mouth Tearer. For a while, she became famous, and whenever her name was mentioned, people would speak with sarcasm. My phone started ringing incessantly. It was Zhou Lin. furious to the point of spitting blood, calling to get in touch with me. But I hung up expressionlessly and blocked the number. I secretly went to the hospital to see her husband who was hospitalized. Sure enough, Zhou Lin was there, gripping her phone tightly. She's like this now, ruining my reputation, this awful woman, I hate her. Lu Qing comforted her, saying, "It's okay, baby, the master said the fate exchange is in progress. Just wait a few more days. Once I take her fate, we'll never have to worry about money again. I'll take you to buy houses, cars, airplanes, and yachts. When that time comes, will you still be upset over such trivial matters?" Zhou Lin was captivated by the grand future he painted and couldn't help but hold her breath. "Honey, you have to promise me that you'll love me forever." "Of course," I sneered inwardly. Unfortunately, their wishes were destined to go unfulfilled. In this world, how can there be anything that comes without effort? After all destined gifts have long had their prices secretly marked. Soon, Lu Cheng was discharged from the hospital. The fate exchange was successful. The two of them walked happily hand in hand on the road. I threw something as thick as a brick from the second floor, hitting Lu Cheng on the head. Lu Cheng let out a loud cry, a bump swelling on his head, and he was about to come forward to grab me. Unexpectedly, Zhou Lin shouted loudly, "Honey, look quickly, it's money." Both of them held their breath. They saw a thick stack of cash, all in renminbi, amounting to at least over 30,000 yuan. Lu Cheng beamed with joy. The master was right indeed. After swapping fates, even the sky can rain money on me, Zhou Lin said with a hint of envy. That wretched girl, how can her fate be so good? Perhaps it was because the fortune teller exposed my fate that she developed such greed. Lu Cheng gave her a heavy kiss. "Baby, this life is now your husband's. Wait for me to help you get rich." They quickly and furtively stuffed the money into their bags, then rushed into the store with a grand gesture. He took 2 iPhone 16 Pro Maxes. Lu Cheng was a student from a poor family, receiving financial aid every year and still needing to repay student loans after graduation. Now that he suddenly had money, he rushed to spend it, but when it came time to check out, the cashier awkwardly said, "Sir, we can't accept this money." "What? Why can't you accept it? Not accepting RMB is illegal." "Do you believe I'll report your store to the police?" the cashier said. "This isn't RMB." It was only then that they noticed that, apart from the few bills on top, the rest of the thick stack of money was all spirit money. Everyone looked at them with disgust. Is it because they can't afford it, so they're pretending to be rich? This is the first time I've seen someone bring spirit money. Do they really think they can pass it off as real? Amidst a flurry of discussions, Zhou Lin flushed with embarrassment. "Who says we can't afford it? We're buying it right now." Lu Qing tried to stop her, but Zhou Lin insisted they couldn't lose face, forcing him to use Huabei, and only then did the two of them manage to purchase the phone. After stepping outside, Lu Qing angrily threw the money on the ground. "Damn it, how dare you mess with me?" Meanwhile, I, who had been secretly observing all this, was already laughing my head off. The next day, while Lu Cheng was half asleep, I casually mentioned as if by accident, "I heard there's a big bag of money near the third pillar of the pavilion in the center of the school lake, and it's about to get soaked and ruined." When he suddenly woke up, I hid back into the crowd. He happily told Zhou Lin about this. Zhou Lin hesitated because of what happened yesterday, but he said opportunities shouldn't be missed and insisted on going to see, and that money was buried in the water. He rolled up his sleeves and stepped into the water, only to find it much deeper than he had expected. He couldn't swim, so Zhou Lin went in to save him. He clung desperately to Zhou Lin, dragging her down, and the couple nearly drowned together, but fortunately, the money was still retrieved, a full 500,000, and when they ran it through the money counter, it turned out to be genuine Chinese currency. They were practically over the moon on the spot. Unable to hold back any longer, they immediately rushed into the luxury store. But as I watched their joyful retreating figures, I secretly sneered in my heart. I had known all along that the money was there, so why didn't I take it? Because I knew just how dirty that money was. Taking it would bring misfortune. They don't even stop to think. Why would 50,000 yuan suddenly appear in the central pavilion, a place that's usually deserted? But it's not like I forced them to take it, so whatever consequences come from getting the money should be their own responsibility. During that time, the two of them were truly in high spirits. Riding the wave of good fortune, they treated everyone to drinks and meals, even rented a Rolls-Royce, and every day, people surrounded them, calling them godfather and godmother. Zhou Lin had completely changed her style from head to toe, decked out in various luxury brands. Moreover, she couldn't wait to move out of the dormitory, renting a luxurious mansion and flaunting her wealth online every day. It wasn't until they were both targeted by the police and ended up in the station for questioning, only then did they realize the money they took is dirty money. How dirty is it? Fraudsters hid it there, and because of that 500,000, a life was lost, but Lu Cheng couldn't explain who told him the news, only stammering that he had dreamed about it. Because they had spent almost all the money, the police demanded that they fully refund the deceived families within 2 years. Now they were dumbfounded. Even if they cashed in those luxury items, they wouldn't hold their value well, and they could only repay about 100,000. Without graduating, I was saddled with nearly 400,000 in debt. At the police station entrance, Lu Cheng said angrily, "Is this really a life of wealth and prosperity? What the hell kind of trouble have you gotten into? It's all because you insisted on changing this fate. What do we do now? I'm being dragged down by you. You pay back this money yourself." Zhou Lin grew anxious upon hearing him shirk responsibility. "I told you the water was deep and advised you not to go in, but you insisted on going in yourself, and now you're blaming me. If you hadn't kept talking about money falling from the sky, none of this would have happened." The two nearly came to blows right outside the police station, and the news of them being invited for a talk spread throughout the school. The school considered this act of discovering a large sum of money without reporting it and spending it privately as a serious violation of school rules and regulations. They decided to issue a public criticism to the couple, along with disciplinary action and a 10,000-word self-reflection. The couple was suddenly on the verge of breaking up, but I couldn't just stand by and watch them break up. I haven't had enough of the show yet. In the elective class, Zhou Lin sat behind me. I raised my voice to make sure she could hear clearly. The fortune teller said I'm just a bit unlucky this year, but once I graduate next year, I'll have great luck, and not just ordinary luck. I could win tens of millions by scratching lottery tickets. Zhou Lin's eyes lit up upon hearing this. After class, she went to find Lu Cheng to make peace. Cheng, it's just 400,000 yuan, we'll definitely earn it back next year." "Really? That's right, I heard Do Min say it with my own ears. You know how fortunate that girl's life was before." Upon hearing this, Lu Cheng decided to wait another 6 months, holding out until next year before making a decision. I also used some small tricks to sprinkle a little money their way, a few hundred or a few $1,000s. They were convinced of this, thus, they began to take the 400,000 debt more lightly. They didn't know that if a frog is placed in hot water immediately, it will jump out of the pot, but if the water temperature is slowly increased, it won't sense the danger until it is gradually scalded to death. Now, they were the two frogs, and I am the one who releases the water. The water temperature is in my hands, under my control. On the weekend, I packed my school bag, got in the car, and returned to that familiar alley. I heard a shout, "Sis, my brother stood under the phoenix tree, waving at me, his eyes full of light." I rushed over, looking at him in utter shock. I was completely speechless, unable to utter a single word. He said, "Sis, I remember everything now. I remember it all." Every sentence was so coherent, I almost burst into tears instantly. I've never seen my brother so normal before. Mom also came out, happily saying, "Mingming, it's truly amazing. Your brother recovered right after his fever broke, just as you said." Dad's hair was gray, his back hunched. "I was worried about how you would take care of your brother after your mom and I are gone, but now, the old man, will never have to worry again in this lifetime." Do Che said sadly, "I've caused you too much trouble before. From now on, I'll work hard to earn money and support myself with my own hands." But I sadly told him about his early death. I was already prepared to face my brother's anger, but who would have thought? My brother patted me on the shoulder. "Sister, I'm really happy that you did this, because I would rather die with dignity than live in a daze." That period of time was truly agonizing for me, controlled by genes, destroyed by emotions, helpless. I could only watch myself become a burden to my family. Tears of survival flowed from my brother's eyes. Our family held each other and wept bitterly. At this moment, I was grateful for my rebirth, which completely changed the fate of both my brother and me, so that our family wouldn't end up broken and scattered like in the previous life. In this world, Anyone who has ever experienced the thrill of getting something for nothing or having a windfall fall into their lap would never be willing to work hard and become rich slowly again. Lu Cheng and Zhou Lin were exactly like that, after experiencing what it's like to spend 30,000 yuan in a single day. Who would still care about the 3,000 yuan scholarship earned through a whole semester of hard work, let alone a job that pays 30 yuan an hour? This kind of small change isn't even worth a dog's effort. I heard Zhou Lin say that anyway. Both of them were convinced they'd strike it rich next year, so they went all out, borrowing from various platforms, all sorts of large expenses, far beyond the normal level. Amidst the indulgence, certain changes were quietly taking place. One day, the usually studious Lu Cheng was playing games in class, repeatedly called out by the teacher, yet he remained indifferent. Zhou Lin had no choice but to quietly remind him. Unexpectedly, he immediately turned hostile and slapped Zhou Lin to the ground. She continued to kick and hit her without any regard. The rapid change in the scene immediately caught everyone's attention. Some people quickly took out their phones and recorded it. As a result, the video spread throughout the school in a short amount of time. The couple Lu Cheng and Zhou Lin have become famous once again, and the school has issued another punishment to Lu Cheng. Meanwhile, Zhou Lin was beaten so badly that she was hospitalized. It was that familiar hospital room again. Last time, Lu Cheng was making empty promises to Zhou Lin in bed, but this time, Zhou Lin was lying in bed with a bruised and swollen face. Realizing what had happened, Lu Cheng burst into tears. "Baby, I don't know what came over me at that moment. I couldn't control myself, and I didn't mean to do it. You have to forgive me." Zhou Lin covered her wound. "Do you know how much it hurts? It's not you who got hurt." Lu Cheng knelt down, kowtowed, and kept slapping himself, swearing he would never do it again. That really stunned Zhou Lin. In the end, Zhou Lin had no choice but to forgive him. Unfortunately, she didn't know that with domestic violence, once it happens, it will happen countless times. Moreover, to make women believe their sweet talk, men will kneel, kowtow, and do all sorts of things you could never imagine. But these are just means to achieve their goals. However, soon after, another unexpected event occurred for everyone. Zhou Lin was pregnant. Her first reaction was to have an abortion, but the money they had been spending lavishly was borrowed from lending platforms. If it required Lu Cheng to spend money to abort a child, he would be unwilling. Instead, "Baby, the year of the dragon brings great fortune. Next year is the year of the dragon, and my fate will bring 30 years of prosperous wealth. Why not wait a few more months before going through with it?" Zhou Lin widened her eyes in disbelief. "Wait a few more months? By then, I'll be 6 months pregnant. Do you know how dangerous it would be to have an abortion at that stage? Anyway, it's not my body." Zhou Lin exploded, frantically pounding on him. "Why did I steal my household registration to marry someone like you? I'm telling you, no matter what method you use, you better go and scrape together the money. I still have to go to school." He had no choice but to leave the hospital, but he happened to run into me. His eyes lit up as he stared at the money in my hand. "How do you have money?" "Gambling," I said matter-of-factly. "This thing doesn't depend on fate, it depends on luck. Once, I turned $1,000 into tens of thousands. It was awesome." After saying that, I turned and walked away. He watched my retreating figure. Now he owes hundreds of thousands on lending platforms. And even if he extends the repayment date to next year, the debt collection calls keep coming one after another. Not to mention Zhou Lin still needs money for the abortion. So he resolutely borrowed another $1,000, planning to turn things around with it. In the casino, the dealer, seeing he was a new customer, went easy on him, so he turned 1,000 into 10,000. "It's already enough for an abortion." He wanted to stop. I said, "Why stop so early? 10,000 might turn into over 100,000. So he started gambling again. This time, he lost everything. He wanted to scold me, but I said, "Didn't you insist on gambling yourself, seeing a lottery shop?" I pulled him inside. $2, let's give it a try." "Try my ass. I don't have a single cent left in my pocket," I said. When one door closes, another opens. Even though Zhou Lin and I have split, I still believe you have a bright future ahead. At my urging, he spent 2 yuan to buy a lottery ticket. I also bought a lottery ticket and secretly swapped it with his. He won 30,000. I pretended to be surprised and said, "Oh my God, what kind of luck is this? You're definitely going to have good luck next. Believe me, This is called getting a head start on great fortune. He returned home in high spirits, picking up 2 gold bars along the way. As the saying goes, poverty stifles ambition, while wealth strengthens resolve. This time, he walked through the door with his head held high and his chest out. Zhou Lin, I've had a stroke of luck. If you ask me, you shouldn't have this child aborted, just give birth to it. Do you really think I can't afford to raise it? Zhou Lin carefully inquired about everything that had happened to him today, but she still felt somewhat hesitant. Could it be that I really have to give up my studies for the sake of the child? Lu Cheng said, go ahead, hit me if you want. Selling this gold bar could fetch tens of thousands of yuan. Once I have money, plenty of women will be willing to have children for me. I don't need you. Zhou Lin thought about it and grew anxious. Her mother had once told her that what truly binds 2 people together is always blood ties, shared interests, or children. If this child is aborted, as long as Lu Cheng wants, he can kick her out at any time, and she has no way to stop him. But Lu Cheng is already showing signs of good luck now, let alone next year when he will have even greater fortune. She couldn't bear to give up just like that, so Zhou Lin gritted her teeth and went to withdraw from school. She discovered her pregnancy late, and at 3 months, her belly was already showing. Being pregnant before marriage, especially while still in college, this scandal spread throughout the school. Everyone recognized her, and along the way, people secretly pointed and whispered about her. To make a statement, Zhou Lin deliberately dressed in an outfit that didn't match her age: black stockings, long boots, a black trench coat, and a Chanel bag. What are you looking at? My husband is destined to become rich. I married into wealth to become a rich wife, unlike you all, who will be working for a monthly salary of 3,000 in the future. Who knows, I might even be your boss, hiring you to wash my feet. Her tone was unapologetic, and someone posted her words on the confession wall, sparking a wave of mockery. Lu Chengza picked her up at the school gate. He didn't drop out. He was expelled by the school. He was expelled because he frequently skipped classes and failed 10 subjects in 1 semester. He couldn't obtain his degree certificate or graduation diploma. At this moment, Lu Cheng's face had undergone subtle changes. The distance between his eyes had widened, his nose bridge had flattened, his pupils had drifted apart, making it hard to focus, and his forehead had become much flatter than before. At first glance, it was somewhat frightening. Unfortunately, Zhou Lin was blinded by money and didn't notice at all. She jumped over and said to Lu Cheng, honey, I want to eat top-grade steak. Okay, I'll exchange the gold bars for money and take you to eat. She smiled triumphantly, and I laughed even more triumphantly than she did. I am really looking forward more and more to the moment she discovers the truth. As time passed, the gold bars were finally spent by them, but Lu Cheng never had any windfall gains again, let alone a steady income. The family's finances became increasingly strained. She went to ask her parents for money, but they were already deeply disappointed in the daughter they had painstakingly raised, who had secretly gotten married, become pregnant before marriage, and even dropped out of school without permission. They cut ties with her and started focusing on raising a new child. After all, their family still has a daughter in junior high school, who excels academically. As a pregnant woman, she couldn't work and had to lie at home every day, unable to afford even a caregiver. Lu Cheng couldn't even afford to buy meat anymore, and he gradually grew anxious. He was too proud to ask his family for money, so he went out to look for a job himself. But he had been too sheltered at school before and didn't know how tough the job market was. Our school is a top university. If he had finished his studies, he could have at least found a job with a monthly salary of 5,000 yuan, but with both a disciplinary record and dropping out, which company would dare hire him? There was no other choice. He could only go to the construction site to move bricks, carrying them one by one every day. Moving 100 bricks earns $10. Moving 500 a day can make 50. He returned home with a meager, pitiful salary, and the two of them managed to get through the day. Because they couldn't afford the rent, they had to move into a damp, dilapidated basement. At this time, Lu Chen's hypermasculinity wasn't too severe yet, and he still had some intelligence, so they always encouraged each other. Next year, we'll be rich. The year of the dragon will bring us great fortune, baby. When I strike it rich, I'll definitely treat you. Well, perhaps when people are in difficult situations, they tend to fantasize and yearn for a better future to help them get through the hardship. The little match girl was the same, lighting her matches on that snowy night, dreaming of all things beautiful, only to end up frozen to death in that cold winter. It's time to burst their beautiful dream. I've been thinking, what method should I use to break all this gracefully and gently? Preferably pretending I know nothing at all, to satisfy the surge of pleasure that rose within me at that moment, but I never expected that fate would deliver the opportunity right to my doorstep. On the weekend when the dormitory was open, my perfectly healthy brother, carrying the meal he had personally prepared, followed me upstairs. Sis, this dish is really delicious. Mom and Dad couldn't stop praising it, and I just knew you had to try it. I pushed open the door, intending to set up my small table in the dormitory, but I happened to hear Zhou Lin pleading with her roommate, I'm really in a tough spot lately. Please, just 10,000, no, 20,000 is enough. We were friends before, help me get through this time. The door opened, and Zhou Lin turned her head. I saw her, pale and puffy-faced, with disheveled hair and a protruding belly, looking completely disheveled. As for me, I had just come down from hosting a program performance. With flawless makeup and wearing an evening gown, I put on a perfectly surprised expression. Zhou Lin, she wasn't too surprised to see me, but seeing my brother was the real shock. What about him? My brother's appearance has now returned to normal. He's incredibly handsome, standing at 188 centimeters tall, with a deep, rugged voice and a respectful attitude toward women. Last week, he walked around campus and ended up being posted on the confession wall, with his QQ number getting flooded with friend requests. My roommate said, that's Do Che. Hasn't he changed so much? He even got into a university abroad. That's amazing. I smiled and said, my brother is smart and ambitious. I never expected it either. Zhou Lin clenched her fingers tightly, and I could see the jealousy on her face. It seemed I could hear her inner voice. Why, shouldn't her brother be a fool for life? But with me here, she was too embarrassed to keep asking for money, so she just said a few words and made an excuse to leave. I thought there couldn't be a better moment than this. Fate always brings fleeting opportunities right before you. It all depends on whether you can seize them. So I gently pressed the clasp of my longevity lock, a design perfectly suited for easy removal. With a click, it came undone and fell to the ground. In that split second, Zhou Lin's eyes widened in shock, and she grabbed my collar frantically. You didn't swap fates. You lied to me. I looked surprised. What are you talking about? Do Che let out an ouch and said, Sister, my neck is so itchy, pulling open the collar, revealing the collarbone, also letting Zhou Lin clearly see the real-life swapping demon lock, worn on whose neck she was almost going crazy, screaming madly. Ah, you did it on purpose. How can you be so vicious? The roommate was startled. Zhou Lin, what's wrong with you? In the third trimester, it's not advisable to get too agitated. She went from initial shock and collapse to clutching her stomach, letting out agonizing wails. Water gushed steadily from between her legs. Your water broke. Roommates rushed forward, some calling for an ambulance, others helping her up, while I took my brother's hand and leisurely followed along to watch the show. When Zhou Lin was pushed into the delivery room, she said in agony, I don't want this child. Get rid of him. Lu Cheng said, what nonsense are you talking? There's just 1 month left until the year of the dragon brings great fortune. Yet she shook her head in despair. Once this child was born, the outcome of her life would be sealed. But she was powerless to change it, forced to watch helplessly as she moved toward that inevitable end. But everything, there is no worst, only worse. The child she gave birth to turned out to be a super male, with a vacant gaze, drooling, and unfocused eyes, so ugly it's terrifying. It is said to be due to the inheritance of the supermale gene. She broke down and said, how is that possible? I checked my family tree and his. There's no way this disease exists. The doctor cautiously said, perhaps you should take a closer look at your husband. She was jolted awake and immediately looked at Lu Cheng. Lu Cheng sat in the chair. She didn't know how long it had been since she had taken a good look at her husband, perhaps because she was suffering from postpartum pain every day, while he was out earning money, so much so that she suddenly realized at some point, when he was lost in thought, his eyes were unfocused, his gaze was vacant, and his hands and feet were unnaturally twisted together. It's hard to say whether the son resembles the father or the father resembles the son. Ah, she let out the most terrifying and desperate sound from her mouth. The following year, my brother went abroad for university, and I also pursued further education, studying at Stanford. After graduation, I settled abroad and brought my parents over to live with me. After all, staying in the country any longer might have led to a bloody disaster. 5 years later, Zhou Lin, wearing an apron with messy hair, came out of the kitchen holding a spatula. I saw her husband, Lu Cheng, was sitting at the computer desk, frantically playing games. He had already stopped going to work and had completely lost his mind. The only thing he does every day is play video games. The entire family's livelihood depends on the 1,500 yuan his parents provide each month, barely scraping by. Her son, Lu Zhuang, has turned the house into a complete mess: paintbrushes, electrical wires, the sofa slashed with a knife, and the table overturned on the floor. Seeing her come out, he took a plastic dagger and stabbed at her. "I'm going to kill you. Due to his violent tendencies, all kindergartens refused to admit him. The TV was broadcasting the news of a Chinese woman named Do Min who won 10 million in the lottery. Zhou Lin suddenly went mad at that moment. She picked up the dagger in her hand, stabbed both of them to death, and then stabbed herself. When the news came, I was having afternoon tea prepared by the housekeeper in the villa I had just bought abroad. Dad was fishing, Mom was gardening, and my younger brother was studying at Harvard. I still have a wonderful and happy life ahead of me." After hearing the two stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.